Welcome back, everybody. Episode 65 of White Claw Wednesdays, coming off a two-parter with Sam O'Neill. Frank is back in Riverside. I am still in Hawaii, and we're keeping it going. Let's get these cracked.
Oh, man, I just hit my nose a little bit there.
Cheers, cheers, cheers. Oh,
man, that was tough. Sorry, I was...
Frank was too excited to get going.
I really wanted that one, yeah.
I froze mine, and I've been
Really?
sitting here for like 10 minutes while we've been setting up, and I've just been looking at him. You know, the condensation on the outside of the can, it's like, it's almost like a commercial just dripping down, teasing me.
You know what? I saw a couple commercials for White Claw on the ESPN Plus broadcast of the Red Sox in Tampa Bay, Boston Red Sox versus Tampa Bay Rays game this evening.
Has the season started?
Yeah, the baseball season started on Thursday, April 1st. And
nice.
yeah, so this ESPN Plus broadcast that I was watching on my phone had multiple commercials. Like every ad break had this same White Claw commercial of this guy taking the White Claw out of like a cooler or something. It was looking all ice cold, and it was the black cherry flavor. And then he jumps in the water, and he's swimming through the waves, and he gets on a boat. He swims onto a boat, and then it shows this big old wave crashing. You know, the White Claw in a sense, and
Is the wave?
Yeah. So I thought it was a good commercial. It made the drink seem really refreshing and cool, and like if you drink it, you're rich or something because there's a boat involved or whatever. And yeah, I thought it was a pretty good piece of advertising. I gotta say, the dude was svelte. He was ripped, shredded, whatever you want to call it.
Of course.
And they kept him faceless, so you could put whatever face you want in your fantasy, And
did you see they're coming out with iced tea flavors
for White Claw?
White Claw's coming out with some iced tea flavors. Yeah.
Damn.
I'm going to look it up on my phone right now. Amanda sent me this, and I was like, oh, my God. We got to both get some. We got to do, like, a review episode or something.
Yeah, we do, man. Ooh, that sounds
I'm going to look it up right now.
So I'm thinking iced tea flavors. So, if they crossed over with Arnold Palmer, Arnold Palmer White Claws.
The Arnold Palmer White Claw crossover. Whew, okay, so I'm going online, and I'm looking up iced tea White Claw. And the first page, it says, "Are you over 21?"
Okay.
Yes, I am. All right, here we go. You ready for this? Pack
I'm ready.
includes iced tea lemon, iced tea raspberry, iced tea mango, and get this, iced tea peach. Oh, yeah.
Dude, I immediately think of when Michael and Stanley are at the vending machines in the break room, and Stanley's like, he puts his money in, and he's thinking about what to get. He's looking around, and then Michael just presses a button, and then he says, "Peach iced tea. You're gonna hate it."
I actually quite like peach iced tea. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, the peach iced tea that I'm used to is like Brisk, where it's just loaded with sugar and just so refreshing. Like
pretty much
after a soccer game.
Any Brisk iced tea is good. They have a lot of flavors. They have a raspberry flavor. Ryan,
there's a third variety pack.
Do you have a computer screen next to you?
Well, I got my work laptop, and then this is sat on my actual laptop, so this is another screen. So I was trying to look up White Claw here.
So you got a work laptop then?
Well, I've always had a Windows one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're using that for like research purposes.
Well, yeah, it's just right here.
Gotcha.
Dude, there's another variety pack.
There's a third one?
Get this. Yes.
What?
Uh-huh. They must have just come out with it. Okay. You got to look this up, dude. First of all, you know how the second variety pack's like flavor collection number 2, and it's like in yellow? This one's in red. Okay.
Oh.
And get the flavors. Blackberry, mango, strawberry, and pineapple.
Dude, remember
Oh,
we were talking about Variety
dude.
Pack 3 and we mentioned
Yeah.
strawberry?
Yeah.
I think we also mentioned pineapple.
We got to go back. We got to go back and look at that.
Yeah, we got to see.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think we said like blue raspberry too.
We
I
did.
don't know
That
why
was
blue
definitely one of the other
raspberry.
ones.
Blue raspberry is pinging in my mind, and that's pretty close to blackberry. So
Yeah, dude, I just looked it up.
yeah, we gotta go back and find that
so
episode.
they just threw mango in there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess mango is just so popping.
Yeah, there's just mango's like their flavor because mango's in 2, but it's not in 1.
Right.
Interesting.
Mango
was like the first one that I think, or I don't know about this, but there was a time. Actually, I do know about this. There was a time when Variety Pack 1 was the only one, and then mango was a flavor you got separately.
Yeah.
Like that was when White Claw first started taking off. There was just like, oh, you got mangoes, and that was like a special thing because it was all mangoes.
At first they only had those 6-packs too, and then they did
true.
the 12-packs of mango,
Yeah.
and that was when like, oh, you got a 12-pack of mangoes, like my guy, you know?
Oh yeah. You know what? I bet an alcohol store, like a store that specializes in liquor, like a Bevmo type of thing. They'd probably have the Variety Pack 3. You know, because I just looked it up and it was on some grocery store online order website, and that's what immediately popped up when I looked up Variety Pack 3 White Claw, and
Yep.
I like the look of it. What's the one that's purple? You said it's
Blackberry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dude, I love all 3 of those new choices with strawberry,
You know
pineapple,
what?
and
I think we
blackberry.
said
Those all
grape.
sound so good.
We definitely said grape.
We did say grape.
We got to find that episode. I want to know how
think
accurate we
if
were.
I had to guess, I think it was pineapple, strawberry, blue raspberry, and grape. I think that might have been the new pack that we came up with.
I think you're right. Dang, dude, we got 2 things to do. Whoops. We got 2 things to do. We got to review this next variety pack, and we got to get the teas, man. We got to get the teas going. But I'm in Hawaii, so I might have to get a little special order because it takes a little while for things to hit Hawaii's shores, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I remember Amanda saying something about songs being popular.
Yeah.
Like months after they blow up, and
it's funny because I mean you know this because I mean we don't have like an aux cord in the car that we were driving.
Yeah,
and I was shifting through all the radios, and basically none of them. I mean there are probably maybe 1 or 2 that have rap, but it's more like pop, you know, and pretty much none of them have rap. It's all Islander music, rock music, just chill vibes music, and then pop. That's pretty much it, you know? So it's kind of crazy here. It's a whole different atmosphere. And I love it.
I felt it was appropriate. You know, I never like when there was that one station where they'd play this one song where the guy was singing about being a performer, and he was pronouncing it like I'm not even going to say it, but not even going to try to say it how he said it. But it like all those songs on that station that had kind of the island station made me feel like I was on, you know, in island paradise. It was very much matched the mood. And then also just having a car with a radio, like old-fashioned radio, for a trip like that.
Windows down.
It makes things more memorable, you know?
It's more of the vibe, you know?
Yeah, it's more the vibe, exactly, you know?
I completely agree because when we got here, so the first time I came here, first 2 times, we were driving the car that we were driving with you. It's an old 2005 Jeep. Not like your standard Jeep. It's called a Jeep Liberty, I believe.
Yeah, Liberty.
So it's a little different from like the Jeep that you imagine. It's not like the open windows or open door type Jeep.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know. I just got so attached to the car, like my memory of like Maui and that car. And then we got here this time, and they have a new car. Amanda's family has a new car. It's an older 2009 Jeep, and
it's the red one, right?
The red one, yeah. And Amanda's mom was like, "Oh, you guys can drive this one. I'll drive this one. Like this one's nicer. Like blah blah blah." And you know, I'm like, whatever, like you want to do, I'll it doesn't matter with me. And I'm driving and I'm kind of telling Amanda, like, man, I really miss that other car.
Yeah, dude, the red one looked good.
Yeah, and I'm happy that I started driving that white one because it ended up breaking down.
Yeah,
you were here.
Yeah, I was there, but talking about the red car makes me think of how when we were there sitting working on the car in the Napa Auto Parts parking lot, and I'm looking at the manual that comes with the car, and I'm pointing at the car on the manual. Remember, it was a blue version of the car, and I was like, wow, this just looks like this looked way newer in 2005 than when I was looking at the photo, and you said, oh, that's definitely all because of the blue, and I totally agree. After seeing the red version, it was like sometimes with cars, it's just like a color just takes it up a level in terms of look, in my personal opinion.
Oh yeah.
That's why I'm not a huge fan of white cars. No disrespect to anybody who has a white car, just because there's so many people out there who have white cars, which is a big reason why I'm not a huge fan. But I think a color on a car that's just like just an everyday car, that's nothing fancy. I think the color just takes it up a little bit of a notch, Like if you got like a Lamborghini and it's white, you're chilling. But
right, of course. What is your favorite finish? Like there's gloss, there's matte. And there's something else, but I can't think of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I'm playing GTA, I love the matte finish.
Me too.
Do
you think it's practical on a Bolt and or Civic?
No, I don't think it's practical on a Bolt or Civic.
I agree.
See, here's where I'm at is I love getting all customizey when it comes to GTA, Grand Theft Auto. For those of you who don't know, because it's just a video game. It's just a fun waste of time. But when it comes to real cars, me personally, I just, you spend X amount on the car, and then you go ahead and spend X amount on something that is just for show. And I just don't get that. I don't know. What about you, Ryan? I mean, your Civic is a great example. I think
Civic is like the classic commuter car. I feel it's a good looking car. You don't have any kids. Yeah, and it is a good looking car, and that's what they really killed this past, like, they have the the generations or whatever where they will completely like change the design of it. And I think this past generation they really killed it, and the Civics just boomed, man. And my buddy Brady, who came here last week, he just got a Civic as well. Sorry for putting him on blast, but not that I'm think he doesn't want to tell people, but
that's a smart
he just
move.
got a Civic. Everyone
congratulate
Brady.
Congratulate Brady, because the Civic is one of the smartest car purchases you can make.
But he got a hatchback, and the hatchbacks look really freaking cool. They've got a different back design that looks a little more sporty.
Yeah, I've seen those on the road. Oh yeah,
it looks nice. So sick. Yeah. And he also, speaking about car paint and stuff like that, he was telling me about the one that he wanted, or at least the color that he wanted. He saw one at the dealership, and he's like, "Oh, that looks so sick." And it's this light green / kind of gray, and it's got like a hint of blue in it, and it's so hard to describe and like tell you what color it is. But as soon as you see it, you'll see it everywhere. Like, there are so many cars with this color, and you just don't even notice until you actually look at one car. Until you do. Like, wow, that's a really cool color with the accents of like the black, trim and stuff. And yeah, dude, we saw like probably 50 cars with that color. Maybe I'm over exaggerating, but it was a lot.
Yeah. Speaking about things when you notice something, and then once you notice it, you like can't stop noticing it. I've realized that, I don't know, when you watch NBA games, do you notice the amount of times that the players will yell when they're driving in towards the basket, or even if they're not under the basket or driving towards the basket, if there's just contact made on them when they're like making moves with the ball on offense, they'll yelp out like, like act like they're getting like hurt. And you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about, and I think
Okay.
right now it's more visible, or I guess more audible in this case, because there's not a
The
lot of
less
fans drowning the
not a
noise
lot of
out.
fans.
Like it's
So
fake noise, most of it is.
yeah, and wow, now that you're saying that is making me have a realization that maybe my realization is wrong. Because here's my
What do you mean?
realization: it's that I think that Pau Gasol started it, made it popular. Because
You know who I remember? Go ahead.
I specifically remember him being the first player that I noticed who would always yell like he was in awful, blood-curdling pain when he was underneath the basket and he was putting it up or dunking it or whatever, getting an and one. And that was his prime was, in the late 2000, right before 2010, that like 08, 09, 2010, that era when the Lakers had back-to-back championships. And I just think at that time was the first time noticing, like, oh, Pau Gasol's the dude who yells. Like that, when he was in his prime, that's what I thought of him as. But now, 10-plus years later from that point, continuing to watch the league, and now that Pau Gasol's out of the league, I just feel like everybody does that now. And it's made me realize, has that been caused by Pau? But then you say, oh, the lack of fans. So now I'm thinking, has every player always yelled and Pau was just yelling so loud that it overpowered the noise of the fans in the stadium? Is it Pau or not? What do you think?
I don't know, dude. I really don't know. I mean, Pau, I wasn't that into it like you were back then, so maybe you did notice the first person, but I'm not sure who started it. But what I will say is the person that really irked me,
Yeah.
and I don't even know his name, but he was on the Warriors that season where they beat the Cavs, but he was on the Cavs 50% of the season, then switched over to the Warriors 50%. And so it was this weird situation where this guy was going in and was playing against his previous team, and he was like flopping all over the place. He kind of had like bushy hair. He's a center. Bushy hair, big guy, and
Wow.
I think he was white. Do you not know who I'm talking about?
No, I'm trying to think of a player who was on the Cavs at one point and then the Warriors the next point in the season. It sounds familiar, but it's like I'm not. That situation sounds like something that happens, but the name isn't popping into my head.
That's what was so crazy about it. Was he was automatically going to get a ring. Like, he got to the finals, and he was going to get a ring because he had contributed enough to the previous team. Therefore, he's getting a ring no matter who wins or loses, right?
Yeah. No. Shit, I can't. I mean, I can understand that being a. You think he was more of a flopper when he came to the Warriors to win the championship?
The thing is, I didn't really pay attention to him when he was on the Cavs, but he was just so bad. I mean, any little thing, he would someone would put their arm up, and he would take 3 steps back and be like, "Whoa!" It's just like, "Oh, dude, this is so overkill right now."
Yeah, I got no idea.
I'm gonna look up his name, but in the meantime, I got a couple things here.
Yeah, what's up?
Have you heard about this Matt Gaetz scandal going on with the Republican senator from Florida?
I have, but I don't know anything beyond the fact that he's a creep. That's pretty much what's relayed to me through my headline skimming.
In terms of the general public, I think that's what everyone's vibe was.
Okay.
Or is. And, I mean, probably was before.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I've seen a photo of him, and I saw that photo, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And the headline was like something to do with an underage girl. So I was just immediately like, oh, okay. Well,
yeah, I watched quite a bit of videos on it on YouTube, within the past couple of days, and even Amanda was like, why are you into that? And I'm like, this is crazy, the fact that a senator has got this type of scandal going on. I mean, it is pretty insane. Not that it, probably hasn't happened before, but I mean, this is pretty crazy. So basically what's going on is Matt Gaetz was friends with this guy who was caught trafficking women and buying them fake IDs, paying them money to like cross state lines, and oh, here's your hotel. And I'm guessing what happened is, since he was caught red-handed and facing a ton of time in jail, he was like, hey, I've got some information, and then boom, so starts the investigation with Matt Gaetz. Now Matt Gaetz, I guess because there was allegations about a 17-year-old, and maybe the FBI knows about that, it gets a lot more serious, because obviously when you're a child, you have a lot more protections, and even crossing like state borders is a super big issue. Anyways, I just thought it was an insane situation, man, and I was wondering if you had heard about it.
Yeah, I had, but I had just heard about the 17-year-old girl part, and that was about it. Yeah, that was that I took in a, there's a lot of sad, disturbing things that happen every day, and sometimes you gotta,
For sure.
like you kind of filter things, like some things you're like, okay, I can handle this right now. Other things you're like, I'm not really in the mood to read about that. So I think it was one of those things where I had already read about this. Did you hear about this? Two brothers killing themselves and their entire family?
No, what happened? Oh my God, no.
These two brothers in Dallas made a suicide pact to murder their family and then murder themselves.
Wow.
That's
terrible.
They left this whole note, and part of the note, or part of their, message that they were sending was how easy they were able to buy a gun, because there was
wow.
The older brother, who I assumed from the reading it was over 18, and in Texas, was able to go in and buy a gun, and was asked about mental illness and just said no to the questions about, have you struggled with X, Y, and Z in terms of mental illness, and he just said no, and there was no follow-up or like check-in to details in terms of wherever he was buying the gun. I don't know. Story didn't say.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, he's able to buy this gun by lying, because you keep reading the article and you find out that the guy, the older brother buying the gun, has had, a lot of therapy and has struggled with depression and so on. And then you read about him just being able to buy the gun so easily, and that makes it even sadder. And then you get the details about them killing their parents and their grandma before killing themselves. And then there's also the random detail about them just absolutely hating this is where it gets just absolutely bonkers and just kind of goes into the realm of
like a weird detail in their life.
Just a weird detail that kind of just brings in something that's joyful in a way. I know it sounds weird, but you'll understand what I'm saying. They were complaining in their suicide note message about the final 2 seasons of The Office, and that
here.
No, I'm dead serious. And that they were a complete waste of time.
Wow.
And the fact that Michael leaving should have been the end of the show, and that was just horrible to them, and that was just a thing that just kind of stuck with me from the story. And I saw 2 different Snapchat stories covering this. One was one was a little bit lesser reliable in terms of, okay, I feel like this is legit. I mean, it's definitely legit, because I saw like the NBC, like the CNBC cover it. More of like I like one of the more official Snapchat stories also picked up the story and did it like a re-release, re-coverage. So when I read through the second, more official, I guess, who knows what to trust these days, but it felt real after reading it on 2 Snapchat articles. So
and they both mentioned that Office.
Only the first one mentioned the Office thing.
I see. Well, who knows? Maybe they
just
didn't think it was important.
If they didn't think it was important.
Although it was NBC. Did you just say it was NBC?
It was NBC. So it's like they might have excluded the detail for, yeah.
Yeah, because NBC owns The Office for anyone that doesn't
Exactly. So
know.
yeah,
Well,
but
that
I
is
just
crazy.
yeah.
I mean, it's
So
a
you
terrible, terrible
imagine
story.
you imagine me reading that, and then I'm continuing to scroll through Snapchat, and then I see the headline about the creepy senator, and I'm just like I've had enough for
Too
this.
much. Yeah,
I've had
yeah,
enough
yeah.
for this news session.
Yeah, it is crazy, man. I mean, that is an insane situation. The fact that like people can get guns like that is so surreal, you know? It
Yeah.
makes you really thankful you live in California, you know? But what's crazy is like problem is when you can get it so easily in other states, it's so
And
easy
everywhere
to
is
bring it into
drivable.
California. Right, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I was watching you know who Jordan Klepper is, right? The guy from the Daily Show?
Yeah, uh-huh.
He does these hilarious YouTube videos. Well, I mean, it's a part of the Daily Show,
Yeah.
but they put it on YouTube. And he did one about how easy it was to get a gun in Florida, and how which different states like validated that he could like carry his gun with him.
Mm-hmm.
I really suggest everyone to watch it because it's hilarious, and I'm not even gonna try to do it justice, but
Yeah, I get that.
basically he was just fucking around the entire time, messing with the guy that was like telling him what to do, you know? And he's like, one of the things he does in the beginning, he's like, okay, so this is how you're going to hold it. And he like helps him hold it. And then the first thing he does is, you know how like gangbangers will like turn it sideways?
Oh, yeah.
He goes, he just keeps going like that.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, no, you don't hold it like that. You don't, nope, we're not going to do that here. It's so funny. And then he shows like the test and stuff. And one of the questions was like, true or false? Like, never aim your gun at another person unless in like a crisis situation or something like that, right? And he's like, you know, this is obviously false, right? And the guy's like, no, this is true. And he's like, oh, okay.
And I'm
It's just
assuming he's
hilarious.
still able to buy the gun at the end of it.
And he got the gun, yeah. And
yeah.
so he's like certified. He can like, you know, carry a gun around in something crazy like it's like 30 states or something like that. Like all these other states.
A lot of states have open carries.
Florida's as like valid. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I should
But
say
still, it
concealed.
only
I think
took
it's
him, like,
it's actually called concealed carry.
Concealed carry, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was pretty funny. And then he talked about like daydreaming and like a open shooter. What is it called? Like mass shooting situation, and how people will like daydream about, you know, being the good guy with the gun and stuff. And he goes through.
I see. Like he's saying this to the guy who's selling him the gun.
Well, this is a different situation. So he went to some place that does like training for people for like active shooters. And so, you know, he was joking around about daydreaming about it and stuff like that. And
about being a hero.
It's so funny because he's like sitting down at a desk and he's got like the gun in his hand. He's like, that's an open firearm. He's like, here, take it. And he's like, okay, so now you need to be ready for, you know, anything at all times. Like, you know, from now on, you know, there could be a crisis situation going on, right? And Klepper's like, okay, yeah, like perfect. And then a guy just comes in and like shoots him. It's like the funniest thing. So, I mean, yeah, I thought it was hilarious. And I guess, you know, I've always, you know how you're in high school and you hear about all this crazy things happening. And sometimes you're daydreaming in class about like, what would you do if like that situation was happening?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those questions.
Daydreaming about those?
No, I mean, I daydream. I'm more of a daydreamer about situations that cannot happen. You know, like one of my greatest daydream. I mean, it's like it's why I like to you know, write screenplays, because it's like coming up with stories that aren't real. But one of my favorite daydreams is about I had it like 6th grade time. And I thought of like high school. I like fast forwarded in my mind to being in high school when I was in 6th grade, and I thought of it was Cloverfield had just come out, and I was 10. I was 10.
That was
so I
hard
basically
back then.
yeah. God, what a great movie. I pretty much thought of Cloverfield happening to me in high school, but instead of a giant alien, it was a giant robot.
Oh,
So I had
nice
this
twist.
I had this big old daydream where it was just me and my best buddies from elementary school, and we were all, aged up in my mind in high school, and we all had like girlfriends who we also went to elementary school with us. So like I gave everybody like a girlfriend and stuff. So everybody had a relationship, and I made it like this just crazy epic adventure where we were all driving around in like one big old car. Like, you remember the Ford Excursions? They were huge.
Oh yeah.
Like these huge boat SUVs, and you could fit 8 people in there. Everybody, all 8 with a seatbelt, but you could also squeeze more in there just because of how big the car is. And I imagined, one of my buddies having that excursion, and then us all having our girlfriends, and like we're in class one day, and then the robot attacks, and he's like ripping off the roof of the school, and we're running to the car as people are dying, and then we get in the car, and it's like we go through this whole adventure where we like work with the army, and we destroy the robot, and then the movie ends with us all aged up as like adults, and we're like telling our horror story to a group of high school students, telling them about like the trauma we survived.
Wow. Yeah, that is an awesome fantasy. It sounds like a fantasy where it's like one of your go-tos where you like go back to it. Yeah. Like you're like, I am so tired of learning math right now, and you just like put yourself in this daydreaming stance. You're like, I'm going back to this one.
It's definitely one
that
of my
one
favorite
took a
ones.
Couple daydreaming sessions for you to develop that story.
It was multiple sessions. I mean, I still can remember just being in my backyard at like the age of 10, 11, whatever, and just walking, pacing, and just thinking about more details. Like, it's just daydreaming is one of the greatest things you can do.
That is, I mean, I would always daydream. Like, my daydream when I was younger was like some crisis situation is happening at the school, and somehow like I'm the hero and everyone thinks I'm awesome. To sum it up shortly, that was like my thing. Like, active shooter comes in, everyone else books it, I tackle them, get the gun, and somehow I'm the hero. That was like my shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See,
never got to put it to the test, thank God. But
yeah, because that's a daydream with a lot of pressure on it.
I would say it's actually a little less pressure than a massive alien robot that comes down to destroy everyone.
But you think about like
we could debate on it all day.
You think about which one's more likely, though.
It is, okay, that's true.
That's what I'm saying. Is like to go full daydream. You're living in the world of, giant alien robots attacking you.
Yeah.
And also, I've done some great daydreaming on the trips I've gotten to go to New York City and walking around Manhattan and just being in the skyscrapers and just looking up at the skyscrapers and just walking and then just thinking like every step I just think of, shooting that web and just taking off.
Yeah.
Those are some of my greatest daydreams, and those are daydreams that are like, they're not really story based. They're just more idea based. It's like a single idea, and you're applying it to what you're doing. Then there's like story based daydreaming where whatever you're doing is totally second, and you're just completely locked in on the story. Like, I think a lot of the daydreaming that goes on that keeps students from learning and it kept me from listening and so on is the story daydreaming, because you're not even. You're really in another planet,
Yep. It's your imagination is what it is, man.
Like, you could sit there and you could daydream that you were some, like, would be a good mental trick, maybe? I don't know, but maybe like try to convince yourself that you know the answers on a test. It'd be really hard to do. I
don't know about that one.
Because you're like,
it would be very hard.
You're walking through New York City and you're imagining you're Spider-Man, and it's just giving you this like extra enjoyment as you walk. You're sitting in the classroom, the teacher's starting to hand out the tests, and you just start thinking to yourself, I know every answer. Like, if you could convince yourself you know every answer the right way. I mean, obviously that's complete mental gymnastics.
I think it might be better to do that like right before a lecture, to give you like motivation.
Yes.
Like, oh, that's an awesome feeling, just knowing
like
all
convince
the
yourself
answers to the test and be like, oh,
yeah.
wow. To do so, I need to pay
I need
attention.
to listen now. Like you
Dude,
convince yourself you're some great student, like you see the person in
Yeah.
front of you taking diligent notes and you're like, I'm that person. And then you just go for it.
I always love seeing people when they had their like color-coded notes. They had like their old pencil kit, and they would like pull out different colors and like do this. And I gotta say, my notes have just gone like just lower and lower ever since I graduated high school, because for me taking notes it's just so toxic now. I don't know why. But back to your point about the whole Spider-Man thing. We went to Olinda, which is like a forest here. And you hike in a little bit, and there's kind of like this ravine, and you go down the ravine like maybe 100 feet or 200 feet or something like that. And there are these caves, and there's like a bunch of massive trees. And I'm talking to Brady, and Brady's there, and we're like, oh man, like this is so cool. The sun's like coming through it and stuff, and there's like birds chirping and flying everywhere. There's like a waterfall right there, and I'm just like, geez, it would be so cool to be Spider-Man right now. Like that was my thought. I was just like, I just wanted to like just fly away, just wrap onto a branch or something.
Oh man,
it was so cool, dude. Not that I did it, but I imagined it right then and there.
Thought of it. Yeah.
And this has got me thinking. What would be next level gaming?
What?
Virtual reality.
Virtual reality
Spider-Man.
Yep.
Oh my God!
I knew
How
it was
have
coming
I
before you
not
said it.
thought about it?
Yeah.
Like that is insane. That is where the market is.
Oh, that would be sick, dude.
And I'm talking like those. How you go into like a Dave and Buster's, like a pretty big arcade, and they've got like you go into the ride kinda, and you kind of have to like pull the curtain away. I'm talking something like that, where you put on like a helmet, you got your controllers here, you put in your money or whatever, and then they've got like wind. You maybe have a platform that kind of like goes up and down or something to give you some sense of, you're swinging through the air. Or maybe they're on cables, dude. Your controllers are on cables, and you're just kind of pulling because you got to pull that web.
Yeah, I have something better than controllers though. You do gloves.
Oh, nice.
You do now. This would make it a little like I think you would have to have a Dave and Buster's version and then also an at-home version, just because the state of the world with COVID and such. If we're dropping this right now, we need the Dave and Buster's version to have the controllers, some sort of controllers that you can hold on to. Because I don't think people are gonna like the idea of just sticking their whole hand in something. But the at-home version would come with gloves. And the gloves would be, they'd have wiring on top of them, and you could be like, doing the hand, because then you could really get the feeling.
There's a little trigger right here at the bottom of your hand.
Exactly.
You gotta click that. It's like the boom.
Yeah, and you feel it.
That'd be sick.
And it would create probably this vibration in the glove that you would feel, like coming back to your fingers, and it would kind of like imitate the feeling of having like webbing come out of your web shooter or organic webbing, whichever way they took it. But yeah, the virtual reality Spider-Man game would be a great idea.
That would be some next level purchasing, I think. I think the company that first does it well. But, here's the thing. I don't want that right now. I want maybe 20 years from now when like virtual reality is good,
Dude, I agree.
Like, I don't want to jump into like something that's like half good and I'm like, this kind of sucks. My hopes were up, and then maybe 10 years down the line, I play it again, and I'm like, they finally got something good.
In 20 years, it will probably just be a pair of glasses.
Possibly, yeah.
So,
and then like you would see your hands, and you'd have the suit on or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly. That. Yeah, and all you're wearing is glasses. Yeah, 20 years is the move for sure. Because that's why
2050. Let's go 2050.
Yeah,
just to be
that's
safe.
why I'm not a huge that's why I'm not jumping on the virtual reality train right now, in terms of what I like to do in gaming, because it's just it's not to the point where I think it's like fully virtual reality, because I have done it before.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like it's cool
really
to
cool,
do,
But it doesn't feel
once.
like you're that immersed.
Right. It's like the one-time thing where you're like, oh, I want to do virtual reality. I want to try it. And then you're kind of like, okay, like that was awesome, but I'm not going to spend, an extra $200-$300 on the upgrades to my console or whatever,
Yeah,
Plus
exactly.
the eyepiece, then you got the 2 controllers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and I
just
hear
not,
it makes
it's
you
just not worth
dizzy
it.
if you play a ton, if you're just like...
And some people forget they're playing virtual reality and punch a wall.
Yeah, that too,
You've seen that, right? Like at like a Christmas party, the family's together and
Oh, yeah.
some uncle puts on the headset and they're like Wii boxing or whatever, and then he just like moves forward and punches the TV.
That reminds me of all those videos where people would be letting go of the Wii controllers.
Oh,
as they were, playing like
Yeah.
tennis or bowling, and it would just go flying into the TV and immediately just leave this giant crack in it.
I've done that before. It just hasn't hit the TV. I've done like the tennis, and I'll do this, and it just flicks right on the floor, and I'm like, uh-oh. Dude, did you ever play Sonic and Knuckles Olympics, I think is what it was called.
Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games.
Sonic and Mario, that's the one. Did you ever play that?
Yeah, I had that game, yeah. That was a fun game.
Oh my god, that game was amazing, dude.
Yeah, that had some
I
good,
have
some
never
good modes.
Worked out so late in my life. Me and the Stekoviches, we'd be up to like 2-3 a.m., dude, doing the decathlon or whatever.
Oh, damn. Dude, that sounds sick. Did you have summer games or winter games? Do you remember?
Oh, we had both, dude. We had both.
You had both?
Man.
Okay,
we
because
were
I just had the winter games one.
I think we had the summer game, or they had the summer games, and we had the winter games. So like we would just bring it over.
Yeah, I got the winter games for Christmas, and I remember the winter games was the follow up to the summer games.
Yeah,
summer games came out, and then the winter games followed it up, and
yeah.
I remember getting winter games just because of how hyped and how much word of mouth the summer games got when it came out. And I loved Wii games like that back in the prime of the Wii, like just the good Wii party games that you could put on and play with multiple people. Those were awesome. Like Super Smash Brothers Brawl was a great example of that.
That
Mario
one was
Kart
good
Wii,
too.
another good one. Mario parties are always great.
Mario Kart was great.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to that type of play though.
Oh, it's still going on Nintendo Switch.
Is it?
Yeah, because Nintendo Switch is pretty cool because it goes between handheld mode and console mode. And basically console mode is you get the stand to put your screen in. You put the screen in, you detach the controllers from the side, buy more controllers, and suddenly you have 4 little miniature Wii. Imagine the Wii controller, but just half the size. That's pretty much what a Switch controller is. And you get 4 of those. 2 come with the console itself. And suddenly you got 4 players, playing tennis, Mario Tennis on the newest game, because that's just so what you're talking about has continued. I think Nintendo really nailed it in that they pretty much, because Nintendo always had their system and then their handheld. Like they had the Game Boy and the GameCube, and then they had the DSs and the Wii, and they were able to combine, like take those 2, roads and bring them together with the Switch, and that you have the handheld and then you have the console mode. Honestly, Nintendo really killed it. The Switch has been an extremely successful selling console.
Yeah, it has. And it's so versatile, It's you can take it wherever you want.
Exactly, yeah.
And also just hook it up to whatever TV, right? Yep. I mean, as long as there's an HDMI cord and you have your little base thing.
And you have your base,
super cool. And they kind of blew it with the Wii U, which I don't even know what it was.
The Wii U was a huge failure. It was.
So they went from the Wii, which was amazing,
which was next
the Wii
level.
U, which was a complete failure, and then Nintendo Switch, which was actually awesome.
Really, when I think about the Nintendo run of consoles and handhelds, the only failure has been the Wii U that comes to mind. Everything else, I think everything else is universally loved, and not only that, but I think Nintendo products have that thing where they're still played. You know what I mean? I think.
Yeah.
I would assume if you did
There's some diehards.
Yeah, if you did a study of what kind of consoles that are really old are still getting use, I think Nintendo consoles would be up there. You know, in terms of people who still have their Wiis and GameCubes and Nintendo 64s in good condition. But yeah, Wii U was really the only one that was a failure, and I think that was kind of their trip towards making the greatness of the Switch, just because the Wii U had this weird thing where it was like you got like a chunkier Wii, but then the controller was like a giant iPad.
Right.
So it was just kind of,
it was something crazy like that.
Yeah, but what was smart is they just took the iPad feature and then just turned it into like the Switch basically, and then boom, they probably made up all their failure in terms of sales and budgeting and stuff that they happened with the Wii U. With the success of the Nintendo Switch, it wiped it out probably.
I'd also like to know, it's a Japanese company from what I know. Could be wrong, either that or Korean. But I'd also like to know, how is it being, I guess, how is the product doing in, like, Japan, in, like, the East, you know?
Oh, yeah. Good question.
Because I feel like here, you know, PlayStation and Xbox are still more popular, but
yeah.
Nintendo Switch is still, like, right up there, you know? Anyways.
Think, and I bet it's just as popular as over here. You know, because I think back in the 90s. I think back in the 90s and the early 2000s with just the fact that countries like Japan would have different Pokemon games, like different. They would get like the different version than we would, because when I'm pretty sure it was in Japan, they had the green version or something, like they had. Like with red and blue, like we had red and blue, and they had like red and green or something with the first Pokemon games.
Something like that. Yeah. I remember that.
I think Japan
they had
had
green and yellow. Green and yellow.
Green,
with
yellow,
Pikachu, I think.
yeah. And then we got yellow, but never got the green one. And there's been other occurrences of that. But what I'm saying is, I think they have just as strong a fan base there, you know, because.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If
I'm
there
just
was like
if it's more than here.
More than here, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. But it could, because you think about it, if one was just way outweighing the other, they would probably not do multiple releases for both areas. But the fact that they're doing multiple releases for both areas, it shows that they have equal buzz in both places.
That's true, dude. The nostalgia of talking about Pokemon, man, hits me
nothing
hard,
like
dude.
it, dude. Oh yeah,
I'm just thinking about running through a freaking grass field with my little 2D character, just going back, or entering a cave and a Zubat appears,
fighting a gym leader, taking on the Elite Four.
God, those are some
picking your starter.
Those, God, good days, man. Back when you had no care in the world, you could just live through this little 2D thing.
Yeah.
And call yourself whatever you want. You could hatch little eggs.
You could nickname your Pokemon.
Oh, yeah. It was freaking... What was the teddy bear thing that you could get? And it would be like an online thing as well. Do you remember that?
Like, are you talking about trading with the game cables? The links?
No. This is a completely different thing. Webkins. You know Webkins?
Oh, Webkins. Oh, you're talking about a totally different thing than Pokemon. Yeah, Webkins. I remember Webkins. Yeah, Webkins were big.
It was like Webkins before Webkins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you remember
good times, man?
Do you remember all those websites with free games that we would play in elementary school?
I do remember
like
a
the
lot of
the Stickman one. Like there was a Stickman one where only like the first 2 levels were free, and there was, I don't know, I just always remember like in 6th grade you'd get on the computer at like library time or whatever, and everybody would know like the free game websites, and you'd go on them and there were just all these games to play, and some of them were blocked by the firewall and others weren't. That's just I think the nostalgia is just pumping in. I'm just getting different memories from the Pokemon era pretty much.
Yeah, now you can get the Pokemon like Ruby, Sapphire, maybe Fire Red, and what is it, Leaf Green?
Yeah, Leaf Green.
You can get those on your phone now. Can you believe that?
Like it's not, because you've been able to get them on your phone for a while, but you used to have to know how to get an emulator. Like it used to be, you used to have to know your stuff in terms of tech, I think. But now is it easier to access? Like they're just on the App Store?
Oh, I don't know about that on the App Store. I think there's like an app that you have to get that allows you to play it. So maybe it's the same thing.
Well,
But I think I would get way too addicted. All right, I got one more story for you.
okay, go for it.
One more
Go
story.
for it.
We'll close on this. All right. Did you hear about this? I bet you did.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, I'll explain as if you had.
Okay.
There is a homeowner in Riverside
Yeah.
that has owned a home for over a year and has not been able to move in because the previous owner would not leave.
No, I haven't heard of this.
Dude.
What?
This is in the Riv, man. Well, it's in Riverside County,
Oh,
I think.
okay.
But apparently there was a person who was selling this house, right?
Yeah.
So they sold the house. Everything went through. The person wouldn't leave. They tried to get him evicted or them evicted.
Uh-huh.
COVID hit.
Okay.
Now there's all these protections on evictions and you can't do it. Blah, 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 blah. And so that person stays in the house they sold for over a year.
Ouch. That's tough.
Can you believe that?
Dude, this COVID it's just
And like
done something to
no
everybody.
and isn't it?
Yeah.
So many little unique situations here and there.
Everybody gets affected differently. The
but
widest
there is videos of the owners,
scale.
the actual owners of the house,
Yeah.
trying to like get the person out. And so they brought like locksmiths and they brought like a camera crew and they were like, you need to leave. And the police show up and they're like, you can't do that. They're telling her, the owner, that she can't get into her own house because of all these new laws.
Wow.
How crazy is that, dude? I mean, just how insane is that?
It's just
Thoughts?
I'm not surprised anymore. You know?
Man, that's a sad reality.
It
though,
is.
you
it
know?
is.
Like,
I
what
mean,
if that happened to
obviously,
you?
I'm surprised about things like the things we talk about here. Obviously, I'm surprised about, but it's just, I don't know. It's just anything can happen, man.
Well, anything can happen if you allow it to happen, right? I mean,
yeah, but I just.
Isn't it ridiculous though? Like, what are you thinking? You're thinking, that's just the world we live in.
Well, it's just another one of those situations, because it's something where you have all these new rules that are in place because of something that happened, and then you're stuck to the rules. I fuck, dude.
I'm thinking to myself.
Obviously, if I'm thrown in the room with these two parties, the one living in the house and then the people waiting to move into their house that they own, I'm sitting there.
You're just being like, I don't know.
Exactly. Like I'm just like.
Really? Are you?
I think I am.
Oh, I'm not. I'm
think
like,
I
dude,
am.
you got to get out, bro. Well, this is what's crazy to me is I'm super surprised that the laws that were in place said if you sold your home, like how did that person fit into it? Is a he, but how did that person fit into the cone of those laws, right? Like rent evictions is one thing, but if you're selling your home, like you gotta go, right? Like you're not. I don't know. To me, that sounds crazy. Like. What's different?
So this guy has sold his home and he's not leaving.
Yeah, that's what's happening. And the new owners.
Yeah, he's got to get the hell out.
Well, that's the thing. That's what happened. And
that's what I'm saying when I'm sitting between them.
The new owners are like, so they had to pay HOAs, they had to pay their monthly mortgage.
Yeah.
And now possible repair. I mean, there's just a plethora of things that they would have to pay for, and I'm not sure. I think the law protects the person that did this, which is insane. It's insanity,
Yeah.
Crazy little loophole, isn't it?
This, makes me think of the last couple episodes we did with Sam when we were talking about the legal system. and how it's just it's just confusing as hell. You know, this is why the bar exam is a very difficult test. You know,
Is that the law exam?
yeah, that's how you get your your degree to
Your
practice
law degree?
law. Yeah,
Oh.
is by passing the bar. That's what you're working towards in law school. But yeah, it's a test that's just has a reputation for being extremely difficult and just a hard study, and
that has got to be difficult.
it just makes sense because laws are confusing when you're making rules for billions of people. You have to have so many sub points and just so many and loophole and the more rules you create, the more loopholes that happen. It's just it's just natural.
You can't catch them all.
Yeah, exactly. And when you
no
have
pun intended.
a society that's really that has a lot of years behind it, and has traditions and stuff as well, it's like it also adds another layer of complication, because you have something that reads really, which like what, and you're like, oh, that was created 200 years ago. And you're like, oh, okay, well that's why it's so weird.
Very true.
But no, that's a situation where when you just lay it down as the simple guy sold his house, people buying it want to move in, guy who sold it won't leave. When you're given it in that sense, you're just like, okay, guy needs to get the hell out of there. But then
right,
there's just all these details and things that just come into play when you're actually involved in the situation that just make it not as simple as it seems from the outside.
Well,
that's the best way I can
mean, you make a good point. Like, imagine writing the laws and whatever were they, memorial, I'm making up a word right now, but basically the laws so that people weren't going to be evicted. I mean, imagine writing those.
Oh yeah.
And trying to fit every single situation and not leave it up to interpretation. It's like it's got to be impossible.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, that was my story, man. Well, crazy stuff. Oh, but a happy ending. Well, I don't know if it was happy, but after like 14 months, the family finally moved in.
Oh, okay.
And the guy like left, I guess.
Okay.
So
I think that's a happy ending. I hope the guy who left has figured it out as well. I wish the best for it, and I hope the family that moved in didn't have too tough of a time during the time when they were waiting for their house that they paid for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking from me, just looking at homes.
Yeah.
Ready to put my entire savings and everything that I have into it. It's geez,
yeah, because you're thinking imagine if I did
you
that.
just give all your money to buy this home and your future money, because now you're talking about a mortgage payment that you have to pay and HOAs that you have to pay.
And then suddenly you're
you can't even go in. So now you have to find other housing. It's like
a hotel. You're like, suddenly I'm paying for a hotel when I just spent all this money on a house. Yeah,
we're staying with family. I mean, whatever. But it's like someone's taking the burden, and the burden's on the family. Yeah, that sucks.
Yep.
Anyways, let's close this out, brother.
Oh yeah, that's life. Okay, thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you for subscribing and just watching and just being a fan. We appreciate it. Cheers up.
Love y'all. Cheers.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace out, everyone.